Welcome to Less House More Moola podcast. I'm Laura Lynch, a certified financial planner professional and your host. For me, alternative or tiny living is more than just a lifestyle of minimalism or lower cost housing. It allows me to live a life aligned with my values. And as of October 2024, it also allowed us to become 100% debt and mortgage free. If you are looking for alternatives to the conventional path because you want to be more financially resilient and kinder to the earth, you have found the right podcast. So hit that subscribe button because new episodes are out every Thursday. Hey, welcome to Less House More Moola podcast. Laura here in my makeshift studio. I was thinking back of all the places that I have recorded this podcast turned 2 earlier this month, and just thinking back to all the ways that I have set up my camera and microphone and gotten things up and running. There was a moment about a year ago, I guess a little over, where I was standing in my walk-in closet. And now I'm operating from sort of a makeshift janky shelf situation in the cabin in Colorado that we're rehabbing. And so I've gotten myself a portable screen to add. So I have 2 screens going and all the cords, and it looks a little messy, but it works. And I've been having so many interesting conversations with people, even up here, spending time in Colorado, talking to people living in, different types of homes. We have a great neighbor with a double adobe home that they built, long time ago, but it is just stunning. And then we have another neighbor with a semi-tiny house that he built himself. There's another neighbor in a straw bale house. Lots of greenhouses, lots of off-grid properties. This property is completely off-grid. So we've been spending a lot of time figuring out our new solar setup and trying to optimize for using what we have while upgrading what needs to be upgraded. And so far, it looks like we're doing pretty good. I've been under the cabin, in the cactus spines and the debris this week while we were leveling the cabin. All the drywall behind me is going to need to start being finished. So that's a new skill set that I am going to learn, hopefully, because I do like some painted walls. And so for all of us in that stage where we're trying to figure out what an alternative living housing situation looks like for us, this is the moment, right? There is just so much going on in terms of housing costs and rising costs of all things, and people moving to be in places where they feel more comfortable, and just a lot of shuffling and jiving going on. And I feel like this is a great moment for us to think about what options and how we narrow down our options and find the best arrangement for us. I think so much of it comes out of our values, and lots of times we'll see something maybe that someone else is doing, maybe on social media or a friend, and the way that they're living some unique and fantastic life. I remember when I was young, I met someone in the Air Force who, when she left the Air Force, she just traveled around the globe by herself. And I was a little envious of that and yet not brave enough to do it. And so we may be seeing things that we envy, but we're not quite maybe ready to take on ourselves. And so how do we figure out what we are willing to take on and what is a good fit for us? And I think that is a lot about what's important to us and where our competencies lie and what we have accomplished in the past, maybe our experiences in childhood, lots of different things that come into what feels good to us and maybe where we're willing to stretch and grow ourselves as well. So if you haven't yet encountered this, there is a values quiz on my website. So thetinyhouseadvisor.com. Adviser is how I spell advisor. So get onto that values quiz. It goes through a short quiz first, and then you'll get a full worksheet that you can go through in order to understand what your values are. Here's an important example, right? Van life, super common. Gosh, I have seen so many Sprinter vans out here in Colorado while we have been here. And that is really a great life for folks that want to be traveling and exploring and seeing new things. In the last episode, we talked about how Peyton Schooley was going to help her explore lots of small towns so that she could figure out where she wanted to be. And this is great, the nomadic exploration piece. Also, nomadic works well for folks that have friends all over the place and they want to be able to park in driveways and hang out with friends or family all spread out all over the place. And so that is a great solution. However, not everyone is driven to be nomadic. Some folks want to put down roots and build community and build relationships. I aspire to build community roots and relationships, and yet at the same time, I used to love to travel and definitely wanted to explore a lot. And now I just want to stay in one place and grow vegetables. So we go through different stages of life, and understanding what really sparks your interests and what is true to you, as opposed to what may be true for someone else, is really important. As I've talked about before, there's a couple of key values that pop up for me that show up in the life that we have crafted for ourselves. And one of them is exploration and seeing new things. And so the way that we solve for that without being nomadic is having two places, the tiny house and now this cabin. So we can go back and forth and feel that sense of seeing new places without necessarily having to figure out where we're going to park every day. The great thing about having a low cost of living through an alternative housing setup like tiny home, or in this case where I'm standing right now is 600 whole square feet, is that if you buy smaller places or you build smaller places, then you can maybe have more than one place. And that is can be a lot of variety and novelty, and allow some of that spice of life that we like to have. So, lots of different things to explore about yourself as you're figuring out, hey, maybe this conventional American dream path isn't for me, but what is for me and what does resonate for me and what will work for me and what are the trade offs? What is necessary and what are areas where I might be willing to give a little in order to get a lot? So, figuring out what's important and what's not important to you is really important. So, again, if you haven't done it yet, go over to the tinyhouseadvisor.com and go to the values quiz and definitely check that out and let me know if you want to talk about your values and what that might look like for you as a future plan. So, signing off here from Colorado this week. It has been um, a lot of work that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Everything from plumbing to electrical to leveling the house to fixing the doors when they didn't open because we leveled the house. Trying to figure out how to stay sort of operational in terms of cooking and cleaning things. I got to use my washing machine for the first time that was here, though it definitely vibrates a lot, but working with what we got and, buying new things as needed and trying to think about how we are creating some resilience here and how we're going to create an opportunity to grow things in the blackest, deepest soil that I have ever seen. It is just begging for me to stick some plants and vegetables in there. And so I'm super anxious to learn how to do that in an environment that is very dry and has a very short growing season. So, still learning a lot and still working hard, juggling all the things, all of the work, the podcast, the work on the house, and managing to feel so grateful to have the opportunity to do that juggle and not be sort of shoehorned in a 9 to 5 and going home to the same place every day. Looking forward to bringing you a couple new guests that are up for recording next week and some other folks that I am talking to. So thank you for joining me today on Less House More Moola podcast. See you next week. Less House More Moola podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Laura Lynch, here in my tiny house. I'm so grateful to you for being along on this journey with me. We are not alone in wanting to live a life that is more gentle on our earth and provides us with financial freedom. So when you have a conversation with someone else considering what alternatives are out there, make sure you share this podcast with them. Let's bring them along with us. Please see the show notes for an important disclosure regarding the Tiny House Advisor LLC in this episode.